Now, in this lesson, we will talk about commitment rewards. It's one thing to earn rewards based on completed topics, lessons, or courses. However, you want to make sure that people engage with your online course as well. In other words, you want them to comment, you want them to maybe talk to other students and involve each other. Once you get people to engage with each other, more people will join, and of course, your online course will grow in terms of more engagement, which translates into more sales. Most of the time with online communities, the reality is that they sound like crickets. It is silent. Because of this factor, and because of this problem, only a handful of people actually speak. Typically, what we find is that 1 in 100 people will actually speak. Then how do you get people to engage, comment, communicate with each other, and more? Well, what you can do is use GamiPress. GamiPress is a WordPress plugin suite, not a SaaS platform. So if you use something like Teachable, you won't be able to do this. To do this, you will need to have a WordPress site. Let's give a let's dress to GamiPress here. Within GamiPress, we have free plugins and, of course, paid ones. But you don't need to have all the ones they offer. What I would recommend you do is pick a few. When we tested GamiPress on its own, we found that you can set it to act. If someone comments, it gives you a certain number of points. Or if someone uploads an image, video, or audio, then it can give you points. And this can go beyond engagement, as you'll see in a few moments. There are many different ways to gamify your site. But one thing to keep in mind is that many times you could get lost, because you may think that, I want to do this, I want to do that, or that, and there are many things you can do. So let's look at the free plugins we have here. For example, a button that says, Add activity events based on clicks on generated buttons. We don't need that. Here, we also have transfer notes. It is not something we need. Leaderboards can be a nice thing to have, but I recommend that you implement them after setting up the main core of your site. If we scroll further down, we look here at Importer MyCred, which is somewhat similar to GamiPress, but costs a bit of money to use. In my opinion, I would only recommend that you stick with these plugins. Of course, you can see here, the BadgeOS importer. It's nice to have so you can import different badges to GamiPress so you can use them. As you can see, in terms of free extensions, there are not many, but there are some useful ones such as multimedia content, where people can get points if they upload a certain image, maybe their homework or whatever, and getting them to engage, getting them to upload whatever content you're asking them to do, and then they can use those points to go to the store and spend money or points to access what they want. Here, we have the payment plugins, and there are many of those that you would not really need. Here, we have daily login rewards, which is really cool. People can log in every day to get rewards. This can really help you in terms of people completely forgetting your course. If they log in daily, they can get rewards just for doing that. Over here, we look at this one, called time-based rewards. With it, you can add rewards based on your users coming back to claim them at a specific time, so you can define something like Christmas or Thanksgiving or a certain holiday and get them to come back to your site to get the rewards. There are other things like Restrict Unlock, which can block certain elements or certain multimedia content until they perform a certain action. Over here, below, are the emails and conditional notifications. Conditional notifications are another great one, although they are not necessarily commitments. Every time someone gets points, you can trigger a notification like a pop-up saying, hey, you got so many points. When people see that, that triggers some dopamine and makes people think, wow, I got this. I got this reward. I'm happy now. If we keep scrolling further down, we have several plugins related to easy digital downloads and WooCommerce, and you can use them depending on the platform you use to run your site. If you're using something like WooCommerce, then you can use, for example, the WooCommerce Points Gateway, which allows how people are earning rewards or points. They can go to the WooCommerce store and shop with their points. So this is what it does, is it creates a kind of bridge between WooCommerce and your online WordPress community. But let's go back here for a moment at the beginning and look at progress and progress maps in more detail. These are really good for the progress trigger we talked about earlier. This is kind of like a circular progress map, and this is more of a roadmap type. They have more options. You can see it when I open it here and we scroll down. This gives you a better idea of what it looks like, and it will work very well when it comes to progress maps. Now, you won't need many of these others. We also see the leaderboards. But as I said, implement it in the last few moments after you set everything else. Everything will get complex. As you can see, you can get lost if you try to install each of these plugins. Keep in mind that each of them costs money. Now, if you want, they offer what they call access passes, where you pay a fee and have access to all or some things. What I recommend is that you select the ones you really need, and most of that is within GamiPress itself. In fact, if you just want to reward and give points to people based on comments, GamiPress already has all of that built in. You don't need the plugin. Plugins just expand it and make it more attractive. Hopefully, that explains a lot of detail in terms of which plugins you should use, which site you should use, and all that. I know I'm not necessarily showing you how to use them, but a lot of this information I'm giving you took many months to figure out, many years ago. So you are getting the condensed version. So I will recommend you again to download GamiPress and start with the basics. You don't really need anything, except maybe for the progress map, the notifications of course, eventually the daily login rewards. These are the ones I would initially start with before moving on to something else. That's all for this lesson on engagement rewards. But before you go, I want to leave you with a challenge. Think about a time when you were motivated to learn something new. What was it that motivated you? Was it a reward? A sense of community? A feeling of responsibility? Now, think about how you can use those same motivators to engage your students. What rewards can you offer? How can you create a sense of community? How can you help your students feel accountable for their own learning? I hope this lesson has given you some ideas, and I hope you'll come back for the next one, where we'll talk about how to get your students back. Thanks for watching.
And if you're serious about learning and advancing your career, I highly recommend checking out Wiserr.io, where with a free subscription, you will be able to earn certificates for the courses you watch here on our YouTube channel. You will also find several premium courses that you can't find anywhere else. Visit Wiserr.io today.